Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the program, The Advocates. My name is Jack Vincent Fidelis and I'm your host. On the program today, as usual, we shall be deliberating on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. With me to discuss on these issues, I have Dr. Hafsat Grema. She is a senior lecturer with the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Maiduguri. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
On the program today, as usual, our topic centers around anti-corruption and accountability in governance. And then I will set the ball rolling by asking Dr. Hafsat, what opportunities are there for the youth in terms of agric?
Okay, thank you very much for the question.
You're welcome.
We have different sectors for that improves the national development. We have the oil sector, we have agriculture, we have manufacturing and services. Agriculture can involve both the services and the manufacturing. It involves the fisheries aspect, the livestock aspect, the crop, the forestry, and the wildlife. So each and every sector I have listed now has the potential of producing or giving an opportunity for youth empowerment. Like, let me take the crop and the livestock, which we can expand the value chain, which includes the production aspect. We have the distribution, which is the marketing aspect. We have the branding, the advertisement, and we have the processing aspect, which involves the packaging. All these are opportunities for youth to venture into agriculture. And another aspect is the fisheries aspect, which is there is the farming aspect. We have the distribution, the value addition, and the marketing aspect. All are part of the opportunities involved in agriculture.
Thank you very much. So, from all you've said, is agriculture economically viable?
Yes. If agriculture is being developed sustainably, it is a very good venture that can produce opportunities for youth. Like now, for it to be sustainable, we have the economic aspect, we have the environmental aspect, and the social aspect. We have to make agriculture to be attractive to the rural people. As you can see now, migration is from the rural to the urban. But if government can invest in agriculture, then it will attract the youth, whereby there will be increase in production, and then the policies will also help in improving the production in agriculture.
So what you're saying is, if the right things are done,
yes,
if the government puts measures in place,
yes,
agriculture is economically viable.
Yeah.
But when these things are not in place, invariably, it means we will have a problem. Yes. And now, with all you have said, why is it that we have poor farmers everywhere? If it is so economically viable, why are our farmers poor?
Yes, the farmers are still using the traditional method in farming. So we need to educate them, improve the technology in farming. If not, if they are still using the local hoe and rakes to work in the farm, of course the output will also be not viable. And there are support like capital support, inputs like fertilizer, fingerlings in case of farming, crops. And in fact, the major challenge now in agriculture is climate change. We have to handle that. If we don't handle climate change, diseases are there, reduction in natural resource management is there, and of course the output will also be low. That's why everywhere there is food insecurity, there is problems of youth unemployment, because we don't develop the agriculture. We need to develop the agriculture economically, socially, and environmentally for it to capture the right people into the system.
Thank you very much.
This is where to fall in the question. This is one factor that it is ambivalence. course, yes, don't collect those things. But then the votes of the electorate don't count. Then there's virtually nothing the electorate can.
Duty to now checkmate those that they have elected, because
Well, viewers, in case you joining us, the program is The Advocate, a program designed to deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. So far, my guest has been doing justice to the topic. She is Dr. Hafsat Grema, a senior lecturer with the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Maiduguri. So, Doctor, why is agriculture not as profitable as petroleum in Nigeria?
Petroleum has been explored, I think 3 decades ago.
That's true.
So we can't equate it with agriculture. Agriculture has been abundant. It is just now that this tenure, they are trying to revive agriculture. So if we don't invest, we don't diversify, we need to attract foreign investment. Like 95% of revenue for government is from oil, from foreign exchange earning. So if we invest in agriculture, we have a lot of product to export. Now that the government has put more attention on rice, as you can see, rice is now being exported and it brings a lot of earning and revenue to the country. So if other aspects are also being invested equally like the rice, I believe one day we will be able to export several commodities that are being produced within Nigeria to the outside world, which is an opportunity as well.
All right, thank you very much. So now, I don't know why mechanized farming or mechanized agriculture is a problem in this country. Because I understand that before independence, agriculture was the mainstay of our economy.
Yeah.
That was before independence. Yeah. But since the discovery of petroleum, agriculture was just abandoned. And now, if there is no mechanized farming, do you see a future for agric in this country?
No. I can't see a future without adapting to technology. We have to adapt to technology. If we less energy, high output, less input, high output. But if we don't invest on the technology that will minimize the energy of rural people, then of course they have to work harder in a large kilometer of land for them to be able to produce. But if we adopt this technology, then the minimal land we have, we'll be able to produce more. If I say technology, it's not only about the tractor and other aspects of mechanization. Even adapting to resistant variety of seeds, even in animals, to be able to bring breeds that are resistant to drought, resistant to diseases in this weather, then they will multiply, they will increase. That is how we can improve and then make a history out of agriculture.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now you see, corruption and lack of accountability is a major problem in this country.
Yes.
How is corruption and lack of accountability affecting the agricultural sector of the economy?
Yes, as you can see, corruption is all over, almost all the sectors. And corruption is like using government resources to benefit of those in the power. So there are people that they will give out contracts, or maybe they will sign into inputs that is ideally for the people at the grassroots. But they may divert that, like maybe or the government will subsidize fertilizer. At the end, before it reaches to the farmers, the price has increased from that of the government. So all these are corruptions that affect the productivity of agriculture in Nigeria. But the government is doing very well now. There is some accountability, but this is an opportunity for me to talk about the little experience I have with the NGOs. The way they do, they make sure there is transparency in what they are doing. They are implementers. make sure that all the products from the NGO reaches down to the grassroots level. But I think the government, most of the time, there is no transparency. So even if there are policies that are beneficial to farmers, the implementation and enforcement of that policies can usually affect the outcome of the intention the government has for producing all such kind of policies. So corruption is definitely a menace to agriculture as well.
All right. Having said that, now what can the government do to sustain agriculture and make it profitable for the farmers and the economy?
The first thing to do is to invest in research and innovation. The government need to invest in researches that will produce impact to the farmers at the grassroots. And the innovation, what I mean by innovation is, now with the threat of climate change, we have to look for breeds that are resistant to diseases, and the seeds that had very short period. It doesn't require much water because we have erratic water rainfall. So we need to invest in this kind of researches for us to know, because if you find out now, most of the seeds and the animals, like the animals, the cattle, they are still the old made cattle we used to see when we were young. So if there is crossbreeding, we will have cattle that which within short period of time they can produce meat, within short period of time they can produce milk. So government should invest in research so that all these new technologies can be adaptable to the farmers as well.
Thank you very much.
This is where to fall in the question. This is one factor that it is ambivalence.
Of course, yes, don't collect those things. But then the votes of the electorate don't count. Then there is virtually nothing in the electorate.
Duty to now checkmate those that they have elected, because
Viewer, the program is The Advocate, a program designed to deliberate on issues of anti-corruption and accountability in governance. This program is sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation and CTAD. I have been deliberating usefully with Dr. Hafsat Grema, a senior lecturer with the Department of Veterinary Medicine, University of Maiduguri. She has been doing justice to this topic, and it's been fun all through. So you are somebody who is from the academia. What do you do over there to aid the economy, to aid the system from the academia? What advice do you give to government? What is that thing you do to ensure that we attain the height that we desire?
There are several work that has been done,
Okay.
and there are several experts that are in the university. Now, in the present time, the NGOs utilize the experts maximally, unlike the government.
I understand.
Yeah, the government needs to bring the brain out of the university to impact to the services within the community. Now the experts from university produce like consultancy services to both the BOSAP, like the organization responsible for agriculture.
In Borno State?
In Borno State, yes. And then all other agriculture-related NGOs like FAO, UNDP. They do employ the lecturers within the university to analyze records like data collection to see where are we going to start. We are here to help the community. How can we help the community? There are several trainings that are like community-based, like trainings that will help the government in solving the problems of the people. So this is the responsibility of the institutions within the state to produce people that can give information that is useful to the community.
All right. From all you are saying, the non-governmental organizations seem to be keen into agriculture in Nigeria to a very large extent.
Yes.
And from what you've been saying.
Yes.
I don't know if the government has engaged you people over the years.
the government to engage
the academia, yes, just like the NGOs are doing.
Yes, but at a minimal level.
Okay.
The NGOs are now using the academia maximally, unlike the government, honestly speaking. So the government needs to use the research centers here
Yeah.
and the output of the researches, because there are researches that are innovation. We need to apply it to the field and see, is it relevant? Is it productive? But the government, I don't know, is shying away from the academia. I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
I understand
anyway.
that.
Yeah.
So, now what advice will you give to relevant stakeholders in the agricultural sector? I want to pinpoint the government specifically. What advice will you give to the government? Then what advice will you give to people who dabble into farming, farmers now?
Yeah.
What advice will you give to them? And then what advice will you give to the teeming unemployed youth out there on agriculture?
Okay. So if you say stakeholder,
Yes.
that involves the government,
Yes.
the farmers,
Yes.
and even the associations, the institutions,
That's
including the financial institutions.
Yes.
But for the farmer, the first advice I would give the farmer is farmers should get educated. Don't go into agriculture just the fact that you have the capital.
What do you mean by educated? Is it that they have to go to a formal school,
No,
or they gain any kind of requisite knowledge necessary to aid their farming?
Yes.
Okay.
There should be like association of farmers, catfish farmers, crop farmers. There are several associations
Where they will learn new techniques?
They will learn how to even start the business. Yes,
Okay.
it's really very essential. They shouldn't just go into that and invest, and then at the end they'll say it is not profitable. That is for the farmers.
Okay.
And then the government should strengthen the value chain.
Okay.
It's really very important. The connection between the producer and the consumer. There are several components in between.
Yes.
So they need to strengthen that component. That is infrastructure is
Okay.
part of it. Financial support is part of it. The loan and the credit to the farmers at a very affordable interest rate is really very important. And then the extension workers as well. The extension workers seem to be based in the urban areas, while farming and agricultural activities is at the rural communities.
That's true.
So yeah, there should be extension as the term. There should be extension of services to the rural areas. And then there are other challenges of agriculture, like the climate change. The government should assist the farmers in purchasing seeds that are climate smart. Okay. What I mean by climate smart is they are resistant to the droughts and the deforestation at this part of the country. And another thing is, I think the government is really important for the government to start thinking of exportation. And export cannot come until when we clear the challenges here, especially like in livestock. There are diseases that will ban Nigeria from transportation, from exportation.
Them,
yeah. So if we treat and we eliminate all these challenges, then there are chances for us to export livestock and other commodities to neighboring countries, which is another source of revenue as well.
Thank you very much. It's at this note that I want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Hafsat Grema.
Thank you very much.
For educating me as a person.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our viewers are educated as well on these things. So that is the much we can take on the program.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much.
And then we hope if we want you to be here some other time, we'll have you.
Yeah,
Thank
always.
you.
Thank you.
Well, viewer, that is the much we can take on the program, The Advocate, for this week. If you've had a nice time listening to us, then I guess you can keep a date again. Same time, same station next week for another episode. Thank you.